I finished Moby Dick by Herman Melville, and I have thoughts. Not all of them gay, but a few. The story is about a sailor named Ishmael who joins a whaling vessel called the Pequod, which is led by Captain Ahab, an older man whose one sole goal is to hunt and kill the white whale Moby Dick, who on a previous voyage bit off the captain's leg. Ahab is also a character who to me is always going to look like Gregory Peck from the 1956 film adaptation. I also disapprove of killing whales, so go Moby Dick. I actually enjoyed this novel more than I thought I was going to. While the chase for Moby Dick is the main story, Ishmael's narrative also adds a lot of chapters which are metaphysical reflections or facts about whales and whaling. I appreciate the added depth these chapters provided. I'm a nerd, so I'm down to learn whale facts, although I probably know more now about whale foreskin than I ever wanted to. I did find myself sometimes so enthralled with the story itself that when one of those chapters came up, I would internally be saying, "What the fuck?" But honestly, Melville's prose is so poetic that I couldn't ever bring myself to be too upset. There is also a lot of symbolism throughout this book, the whale being the most obvious. Many people simply regard Moby Dick as a story of revenge, but it's definitely more than that. It's a story of obsession and the perils of unchecked human ambition. There are reminders that human knowledge is always going to be insufficient, and the concept of fate is always going to be deceptive. All of these lessons could be applied to various aspects of life and current issues, like climate change, for an example. The story definitely doesn't shy away from how destructive whaling is and humans in general. I could make a way longer video about this whole book. I feel like for being written in 1951, this novel was really ahead of its time. Now on to the gay thoughts. So in the beginning of the story, Ishmael meets a Pacific Islander named Queequeg, who at first he despises because of his habits and appearance, as his whole body is covered in tattoos, but soon they develop a very close relationship. So much so that my first impression of the book was, wow, this is pretty gay. They cuddle, they share a pipe, they kiss, they share the same bed, and Ishmael says they're married. Throughout the book, there are also passages of sailors massaging each other's hands in whale sperm, and then the chapter I alluded to earlier about foreskin. There is speculation that Herman Melville was gay and had unrequited feelings for Nathaniel Hawthorne, who he actually dedicated Moby Dick to, but as with most older figures, we'll probably never have a definitive answer on his sexuality. I feel like him and Hemingway would have gotten along.